Okay, welcome everybody back to Steve Talks Boxing X, STBX, with our sponsor Boxing.support. This week we're talking about this Saturday's Super Flyweight unification fight, which is Sunny Edwards against Bam Rodriguez. And joining me this week is Chris Wardrope. Welcome, Chris, to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, brilliant to have you, Chris. Been meaning to have you on the show for a while, so it's great that you got your time here to come on. My first question to you, Chris, Sunny Edwards. If you ask me, he's like the Marmite of boxing. You either love him or hate him. What's your feelings on that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I think, Sonny's probably Britain's. He's one of our best champions, first of all, but he's also one of our least well-known champions. And, you just need to look at his career. Obviously he started out with Frank Warren, then joined up with Probellum and Richard Schaefer prior to joining Matchroom recently. And it's been quite a pitted career. The Probellum took him over to Dubai. And because he had so many fights here, I think he had 4 fights in total in Dubai, he just went under the radar.
Yeah.
So with him falling under the radar, I think he had to try and create a name for himself. And how did he do that? He created it by being controversial. And I think he really did that via his social media presence. And then latterly, obviously, he's been doing a lot of work with Steve Bunce and been getting on some Matchroom shows as well on DAZN and trying to do a little bit of commentary. But I think what he did was he realised that, yeah, I'm a world champion. I need to increase my earning potential. How do I do that? People don't necessarily know me. They've not necessarily seen me fight. I'm not a massive banger. I'll do it by social media. And some of his views, as you say, Steve, Marmite, you either love him or you hate him. Some of the stuff he's said, it's not necessarily offended me, but it's certainly not made me want to tune in and listen to him.
Yeah.
And I think there was a while where I must admit I muted him on Twitter because what he was saying a lot of the time was just nonsense. But I understand it. It's professional boxing, and unless you make a name for yourself, you don't get paid. So I'm a Marmite character completely.
Yeah. So do you think he's made this persona then to get that attention then?
Yeah, I think so, because what we've got to realise is Charlie Edwards, his brother, was kind of stealing the limelight, wasn't he? Then they had that really touching backstory with their mother, and who's been seriously ill, and then Charlie made the headlines when the WBC came over and presented her a belt, and Maurizio Suleiman was there at her bedside, and Sonny started to just fall away from the headlines, really. But he was still doing his job, and he became British champion at Super Flyweight, but it went under the radar. So he's one of these. He comes across as quite an intelligent lad, and I think he's actually used the social media platform to the best of his advantage. So, for me, I think he's played it well, but he's still Marmite. And for me, as I say, I'll take him, and other days I'll leave him.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think Eddie has, since coming across to Matchroom, obviously he's more in the limelight now as well. I think that's helped making that move. This fight itself is obviously the best in the division of fighting the best. This is the fight we want, right?
Yeah, this is the type of fight that we're in boxing for, isn't it? We want number 1 versus number 2. And what we've got here is we've got 2 fantastic professionals. Both have been at higher weights, which is interesting context to the fight as well, because people always think that Bam's actually the guy that's dropped down in weight. Well, it's not. Sunny Edwards was a strong super flyweight as well. So, what we've got is number 1 and number 2 at flyweight coming together. And it's going to be a hell of a fight. We've got a southpaw versus orthodox. We've got a banger versus boxer. So when you start to put all these different contexts into the equation, I think we've got the potential of a really quality fight coming here.
Perfect fight. Well, one of my questions was actually, Chris, obviously Bam's a southpaw, Edwards unorthodox. How do you see that playing out?
It's funny because a lot of people will say that Sunny Edwards isn't a banger, and he has only had 4 stoppages in his 20 victories. But what he does do is he punches very, very straight, and he's very, very fast with his punches. That they're looping. Some of them can come from very wide angles. He works the body very well. He goes down the body, then straight back up to the head almost flawlessly. He's a two-handed fighter. So the power is something which will come into the fight, I think, but it's not going to be a bigger factor as people think. Bam, 23 years old. First time I seen him, I thought, God, this boy's mature for 23.
Yeah.
You know, for a southpaw, he really cuts the ring down well. His foot movement, he really keeps his opponent working all the time. But what I really love about Bam, being a student of boxing as I am, you know, Bam, when he comes forward, he throws a jab as he's stepping forward. And that is very difficult to defend against.
Yeah.
And what he does do is he puts a lot of people on the ropes very, very easily.
Yeah.
And Sunny, you know, sometimes plays to the level of his opponent. And if we see him against his last fight against Campos, you know, we've seen every version of Sunny in that fight. You know, we've seen a Sunny that was prepared to drop his hands, a Sunny that had his hands up high, one that was prepared to go on the ropes and dig down. So Sunny Edwards can do it all, but Bam Rodriguez can also do it all.
And Sunny's good movement. He's hard to hit as well, isn't he? So
So sometimes he does a nice little shoulder roll, you know, and he can tuck in. As I say, with him, I think he fights to the level of his opponent. I think he's that good. Yeah. But with Bam Rodriguez, he's got someone there that for 12 rounds is going to be standing in front of him.
Yeah.
Someone who, for me, and Bam Rodriguez as well, who's actually fought at a higher level of opposition. You know, you look at the 2022 that Bam Rodriguez had. You know, it was a fantastic 2022. You know, Kudros, Rungvisai, Gonzalez. You know, he was just exceptional.
Blasting, people out, wasn't he? Big names as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. So. And then he steps down to flyweight and has a fantastic fight again with Christian Gonzalez Hernandez. And he's really, really good in that fight, but he gets a broken jaw. So, you know, he's been tested. We don't know if there's any mental demons going to come through with Bam Rodriguez there. But for me, to answer your question, and I can't waffle, I think to answer the question, I think I can see Sunny Edwards starting off fast, setting a nice pace there, maybe picking up a few of the early rounds before Bam starts to kind of get to him and connect. And I really see it being one of those fights where I think we'll probably get a split decision. And I can see Bam just probably taking the split decision. If anybody hits the deck, I would imagine it may be Sunny, although he's never been down, you know, for a long time. As far as I'm aware, he's only been down once in his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was going to go predictions at the end, so we'll go over that in a bit more detail. With regards to this fight, would you like to see this in the UK, Chris?
I'd love to see any fight in the UK, you know, because it means we get to go to it, you know. But I think, as we touched upon earlier on, you know, the one thing about Sunny Edwards, does he have that hangover of Daniel Kinahan? You know, because he was involved in the Probellum, and everybody knows who had the money behind there. So at one point he was out there fighting in the Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai in front of about 500 people. So, you know, he's not a ticket seller. No. So to command the type of money that these guys have probably asked for this particular fight, I don't think it actually could have been held in the UK. I don't think it would have sold out. Unless it was on a co-main event. So So taking it over to Glendale, Arizona, which isn't a boxing hotspot, but it's probably got enough Mexican Americans there to go and watch Bam Rodriguez. I think it was a sensible move by Matchroom to put the card over there.
Yeah. As you saw on Twitter today, some of the tickets are not selling great, and some of them were actually like something like $23, $24, actually cheaper than paying for the pay-per-view itself in America. That is. So you could go and see the fight physically cheaper than it is to actually pay for it on the DAZN pay-per-view, I think. So
I think sometimes that can be misleading in America. They do in America a thing which we calling it buying a ticket on the day. They call it walk-ups, you know, and they are well known in America for discounting the prices quite severely in the week of fight week if it isn't actually going ahead in terms of ticket sales. So, you know, I think we'll still get a cracking atmosphere. Hopefully it'll come through. Hopefully it comes through. And hopefully these walk-ups, which they call them, you know, you will actually get, you know, quite a good ticket sales. I think with boxing in America, you know, you're up against the NBA, you're up against American football. It is still the NFL season going on there. So, you know, these have a huge impact because boxing is not the leading sport over there, not that it is in the UK. But, you know, it does still have a major impact on how people seem to buy and digest sport.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if there is any UK, I don't know any UK fans are going across for it. To be honest with you, I've not heard of any anyway. So it certainly doesn't get the following as like Hatton would have done. You know, obviously back in the day. Yeah. So, but I've not heard of anyone actually, any UK supporters actually going across. I think it'd be a big ask just before Christmas as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and that's a shame in itself. You know, I'm sure you'll probably get a few going over from Sheffield, obviously straight trains up
Yeah.
with Grant Smith up there. But yeah, it's a shame when you don't get a British fighter over there. But
Yeah.
again, maybe that's just, as we said earlier on, his profile has been a media-based profile of late rather than people talking about his boxing. But,
Boxing
you know,
ability. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's a shame for someone who's entering his sixth title fight now.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
such a shame, such a shame.
Yeah. I was going to say, if Edwards wins, will it be? I know you touched on it briefly at the end. Will it be on points? And how hard would it be to get that away win on the cards? Is it a big ask?
Yeah, I think it's a huge ask for him, actually. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but behind you, Steve, you know, you've got, say, Pernell Whitaker versus Oscar De La Hoya there. You know,
Yeah.
you think of when Pernell Whitaker fought Julio Cesar Chavez at the Almadrome in San Antonio. You
Yeah.
know, we had a boxer versus a puncher there. You know, probably not too dissimilar to what we're actually going to watch here. And you know, Sweet Pea just couldn't get that draw and couldn't get that decision for love nor money. And I think what we see in America is they love a pressure fighter, don't they? You know, and
Yeah.
someone like Sunny Edwards, who boxes off the back foot, who counters, who's happy going backwards onto the ropes. The American judges don't necessarily like that. So, you know, I think for Sunny to actually get a decision over in America, he would need to work 3 minutes of every
Yeah.
round. And I just don't know if he's got the engine to do that when you've got someone as heavy hitting as Bam,
Bam. Yeah.
continually cutting the ring down against you and continually moving forward on the front foot and landing power shots.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if it is a close fight, I just don't see the judges scoring to Sonny. He's the way fight. If it's a close fight, so what Sonny has to do is not make it a close fight, isn't it? Make it clear and win the rounds. Make it as clear
Yeah,
as possible. He doesn't
yeah,
want close rounds, does he? Really,
yeah.
and leaving it to the, the,
And
the
and
judges.
and And I think you've seen in the Campos fight the last time, you know, Campos had his moments against Sunny Edwards. He really
Yeah,
did. And, you know, if you have those types of moments against Bam Rodriguez, they could be, you know, quite fatal. Because one of the things that Bam does when he gets you onto the ropes, he comes right onto your chest and he'll be right into your chest, but he also works inside and he's got beautiful little cute uppercuts which he can throw from the inside.
yeah,
And while Sunny can do that as well and work the body, I have noticed of late, Sonny would prefer to probably tie up. But
yeah,
Bam for a 23-year-old, is very, very educated in tying up. And Roberto Garcia has actually got him to the point as well where if he's in danger or if he's stung, he will tie up very nicely. So
yeah.
if he can do that, he could nullify a lot of Sonny Edwards' work.
Of the inside work, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And best bet for this one is Sonny to keep him at range and use those, you know, straight jabs and
And
follow
his
it to,
movement, yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
as you say, you know, we always hear Tony Bellew talking about it against Usyk. Say, you know, when someone's making you work, it tires you out, and
yeah,
that is an interesting comparison for this fight
yeah,
because I think Usyk always makes you work just by inch movements. Bam
yeah,
does the same with his feet. So I can see Sonny Edwards at one point, as I say, maybe hitting the floor from a body shot, something like
yeah,
that. But I think ultimately we'll see a split decision for
yeah.
Bam.
He
What
needs
what
that 100% concentration on. Uh, if Edwards does win, do you think he'll finally get that recognition from this fight from the fight fans?
he'll get it from the hardcore, you know,
Yeah,
and I think what he'll get from the hardcore is people turning around and saying, you know, what a great performance. But we're boxing, we're British, we love to build people up and knock them back down.
yeah,
We'll turn around and say Obama was only 23, you know, he beat an aging Rung Visai, you know. If he wins, it is a hell of a decision to go
yeah,
ahead and go to America and try and pick up a victory.
yeah,
If he wins, I think it would be up there with your, not necessarily your Lloyd Hannigans, Donald Curry's, but it's going to be up there as one of
yeah,
the best British away wins, I think.
yeah. I agree, Chris. I really do. It would be a great win, and hopefully he will get that recognition from the fans. You said your prediction split decision. That's close. Then.
It's called sitting on the fence, I think, Steve, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough to call a split decision. So, what you're saying split decision for Bam, are you?
Split decision for Bam Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think he'll be too busy. And I think we've got two educated fighters here, but I just think the aggression the American judges will score for that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Before you go, Chris, I've got some quick ending questions I'll tend to ask all my guests on the show. This is the new one. Conor Benn versus Eubank Jr. It's been a lot in the social media. Do you disagree with that fight?
I'll be careful here. The fight shouldn't go ahead, in my opinion. What we've got here is, again, the media trying to put into our mouths certain words. Conor Benn is innocent. Conor Benn's been cleared to fight. Conor Benn is clear. No, what's happened is, based on jurisdiction, Conor Benn no longer has one governing body going against him in terms of the drugs agency. There's a massive difference here. You know, the British Boxing Board of Control have appealed it. The British Boxing Board of Control have turned down having that fight in the UK under separate licenses. For me, for the protection of British boxing, for the safety of British boxing and the reputation of it, Eddie, Conor Benn's team should get this cleared up before he fights again. I've said it from day one. I was disappointed when they went back out and fought in America. I would hate to see Chris Eubank Jr. get involved in something like this. He's a nice lad. I've met him a number of times. I really like his company. But money talks. And if it does end up over in Dubai, I could see it happening. But happening in Britain, no, we want no part of it over here until it is 100% crystal clear.
Yeah, that is cleared. Okay, that's enough. It is a bit of it's a money fight, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's not got that much significance except for father's name, and they can make loads of money from it. Really, so
and it does. I'm disappointed bitterly that Eddie Hearn, holding a British license, is still continually trying to push this through. And you've got to have respect there for your governing body, and you just don't see that there. And if he's to do that, Robert Smith, has said before that if anybody was involved with Conor Benn on any of these fights, they could face punishment. He didn't necessarily push that through when he fought in America, but it could happen. So, no, let's get it cleared up. And if Conor Benn is innocent, I'll be the first one to say, congratulations, well done, you proved it. Let's move on with your career.
Exactly.
But let's prove it first.
Let's prove it, that's fair enough. Also, a lot going on with, obviously, the 23rd of December, with AJ versus Wilder versus Parker. Eddie's been saying we're going to see AJ versus Wilder next. Last week I saw Wilder saying he wants to fight Fury if he beats Usyk. Do you think we're ever going to see AJ versus Wilder?
I would hope that after the 23rd will be a step closer, but you can't write off Joseph Parker firstly, and you can't write Otto Wallin. We've got two big guys there who are almost being overlooked, but they're both massive heavyweights. And I think people tend to think of Wilder as being this big giant monster. We've got to remember his best weight's around about 215 to 220, somewhere around that level. And even though he did bulk up against Tyson Fury, it didn't work out for him. No. Joseph Parker's been as high as around 254 in his career. I think Joseph's best weight's around 230. But Parker is going to be the bigger man on the night. So it could be one of these fights where we could get a surprise because we don't know what Deontay's got left. One round against Helenius proves nothing.
Nothing. Well, funny you said that, Chris. When the fight was announced a while ago, I did put a tweet out saying, I think Parker can do this. I think he can win on points if he stays, obviously, away from Wilder for 12 rounds. Just down to Wilder, he's not consistent in his fighting. And like I said, it's that first round win against Helenius. That was nothing, was it, really? And Parker's intelligent. I know he does get hit, and he probably hasn't got the movement of, say, a Fury, but that was my initial gut feeling. If I could see one upset on the card, I honestly could see Parker beating Wilder across points.
Yeah. Look, if 55-year-old Ortiz can buzz him in the first fight, then I'm sure that Joseph can get to him. And one thing that Joseph's got, he's got a great team in Andy Lee, and he is around Tyson and Sugar Hill a lot down in Morecambe. Exactly. And, you know, while Joseph's training for this particular fight over in Dublin and has started his camp already, he's been sparring with a big friend of mine, Nick Campbell, the big Scottish heavyweight, actually. So he's been sparring with him. He's been over in Dublin. But he's been around a camp where they've prepared 36 rounds for Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, you know, so they're ready.
They're going to know him. Yeah, they know him. They know him. Is the point I'm trying to get to there. So it's an interesting one, but you know, I can't necessarily see Wallen giving AJ that much of a difficult time. I think that Wallen was, you know, even though he's had a reasonably good win recently, I think he was probably pushed into the limelight, getting beat by Tyson Fury. And he was active in the fight, but at no point was he really ever going to win the fight. So I think that Otto Wallin's kind of went on the shirt tails of that performance quite a little bit and ridden it a little bit. Whereas, you know, I think AJ, he's very tentative at the moment. He has got a little bit of nerves, so you can see that. But he should still have enough in him to, I think, ultimately outpoint someone like an Otto Wallin.
Go on, sorry, Chris. What
no, so I was just going to say, ultimately, will we see it? Hopefully, we're a step closer on the 24th of December. We wake up in the morning and say, AJ Wilder next.
Hopefully, maybe they even get him into the ring together and do a little face off or something, maybe, and say, look, let's get it happening or something along those lines. Anyway, with Fury and Usyk as well, February. I know February's a long time away. How hopeful are you that fight is actually going to happen as well?
I think it needs to happen for boxing, really. As far as I'm led to believe, this kind of skills challenge entertainment deal that Usyk has, it looks a little bit patchy at the moment. So I think he needs it for fight revenue. I think he needs it to cement his own legacy. I think Tyson Fury will be hurt by what happened in the Ngannou fight, and he want to kind of put right that wrong. I'm a firm believer that I think Tyson Fury overlooked Ngannou and thought, this is my midway, my training camp, and I'll just go in the ring and do whatever the hell I want. And obviously it proved not to be the case. So I don't think we'll see the same Tyson Fury in the ring as we did against Ngannou there. You know, I think the fight will happen. I think the money is too big for both fighters to pass down.
And the fans want to see the unification, don't they? Obviously. It's the one fight you want.
Best versus the best, isn't it? You know, that's what boxing should be about. You know, people always talk on about it happened in bygone eras. It probably didn't, but you know, we always want to see the best fighting the best. And Fury and Usyk at the moment, if they didn't happen, it's as criminal as Fury versus AJ not happening. So fingers crossed it's going to happen.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much it for the show. Thanks again, Chris, for your time. It's brilliant. Really enjoyed talking to you. Again, please support the channel the best you can with likes and subscriptions and comments. Also, check out the guys at Boxing Support as well. They do a lot of good work there. You find all the details at below the video. Again, thank you, Chris, for your time. And obviously get your beers and snacks in for the boxing. Well, I don't know, David. It depends if you're staying up late or watch it in the morning. It depends. Maybe early morning beer may be a bit too much. But yeah, enjoy the fights anyway, and appreciate your time, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.